Beautiful friends, I want to share with you a key transit that is happening in the last quarter of 2025 through February 14th of 2026. This is a pivotal transit in us releasing the old era before we fully and finally step into the brand new era that Saturn and Neptune in Aries represent. But before we can say yes to fully step into and actualize that dream, that vision, that new thing, that next phase of your life or chapter, whatever it is for you, before we can do that, we have to allow the washing away of whatever is not in alignment with us anymore, whatever is not working for us. And for some of you, that is a job. Others of you, a relationship dynamic. For some of you, it could be a health issue, a financial stress, a limiting belief, an unhealthy habit, anything that is no longer in alignment with who you are now, who you've become on your evolutionary soul growth path. And what's making this transit even more pivotal is the fact that eclipse season is happening at the same time, and the eclipses are on the Pisces Virgo axis. So Saturn retrograding back into Pisces, the North Node of Destiny in Pisces, the eclipses on the Pisces Virgo axis. Eclipses bring change, they bring life-changing moments. And so you get the idea we're stepping into this very important time of shift. And this is all so that we can step passionately, both feet in to this new dream or vision in early 2026. So in part one of this video, I want to share with you why Saturn retrograding back into Pisces is a key player in catapulting us forward toward our future vision, who will most feel this transit of Saturn retrograde into Pisces. And remember, this is the very last time that we're going to have Saturn in Pisces until 29 years from now when we have a new Saturn cycle. And I'm also going to share with you how we can navigate this transit with the most ease and grace. In part two of this video, as always, I will share readings for all 12 signs, letting you know where you're going to be experiencing Saturn retrograde in Pisces in your natal astrology chart based on the whole sign house system and your rising sign, but listen for your moon and sun signs as well, as they can give you further themes that may apply. And I'll be pulling an oracle card for each of the signs as well. I'm very excited to break this transit down for you, but before I do, I want to say hello and welcome if you are brand new to the channel. If you have just found us, this is a like-minded community, and it is always my intention to support you, to inspire and empower you through Western tropical astrology. If you're highly sensitive, if you are on a spiritual path or an ascension journey, if you're an empath, you are in the right place. Take a moment now to tap that subscribe button and the notification bell so that you don't miss a video and you get a reminder before my videos go live. As always, a warm welcome to you. If you've been watching the videos, thank you for subscribing to the channel. It does mean the world to me, and without your support, I would not be here. If you don't know me, I'm Betsy. I'm a psychic astrologer, intuitive life coach, and the author of the book, The Magic of Saying Yes, Answering Your Heart's True Calling. I do astrology consultations. I will say more about my astrology consultations and my coaching at the end of this video, so stay tuned for that. I also have a free gift for you. I'll tell you how you can get that and what that is at the end of the video. And if you'd like to receive my weekly inspirational astrology updates, I write about the astrology between videos each week. Go to my website, subscribe for free, and you'll get my free instant download gift at the same time. So let's start with the dates of Saturn retrograding into Pisces, and it's just starting to pour rain as I'm saying these words. You can't make this stuff up. Pisces being a deep water sign. Saturn has been retrograde in Aries since July 13th of 2025. It will retrograde back into Pisces on September 1st, and then it will turn direct in Pisces on November 27th and go forward all the way until it shifts back into Aries, re-enters Aries on February 14th of 2026. So I want to touch on what Saturn means for each and every one of us, what Saturn in Pisces means, and then we'll talk about who will most feel this transit and how can you best move through the energies. On a very basic level, Saturn is what is working in your life and what isn't. Saturn is often connected to work, to our profession, to our career, to our job, but it's also efforts that we put in to anything that is important to us, that we want to be long lasting, anything that we want to be a solid, sustainable foundation for us that we want in our lives long term. And in order to create that solid, sustainable foundation, we have to draw boundaries around it and protect what we're building, right? A lot of highly sensitive people have had their journey with boundaries, including myself. A lot of us don't enjoy setting boundaries. It's not an easy thing to do, but we get better and better at it as we mature and grow. And Saturn represents our maturity, our responsibilities, our commitments. And in Pisces, it's our commitments to ourselves. It's our commitments to our higher power and our soul's evolutionary path. It's a commitment to partner with our own divine source. But it's also important to remember with Saturn energy that Saturn moves methodically and often very slowly. In Saturn, we build these things like maturity and our wisdom. We build them over time. And this is the same with anything that we've been working on in terms of skill building, or, if you've been trying to quote unquote get ahead in your job, or you've been trying to make more money, or whatever it is, build a solid, sustainable reputation. That's also Saturn. If you've been doing that, you may feel like, why is it taking so long? And what this brings to mind for me is the book by Malcolm Gladwell, The Outliers book, which popularized the idea that it takes 10,000 hours to become really proficient in something, to do something really well, the 10,000 hour rule, as it's now called. And 10,000 hours that's a lot of time to put into something. If you've been dealing with a health issue, many of us have during the Saturn and Pisces time, it could have taken or still be taking more time than you think it could take. And that can bring about disillusionment, disappointment, confusion. And one of the things that the Saturn and Pisces transit wants to help us with is to cultivate that connection with our higher source to the degree that we can release this feeling of I'm lost and there's no one to help me and I'm losing or I'm not getting what I need. I'm not getting my needs met. This is one of the reasons that a lot of us are going through hard things with Saturn and Pisces, so that we can wake up and become more aware, more enlightened, so to speak, to a deeper source of healing within. Now, Saturn is also associated with karma. It is considered the lord of karma. It's when things happen that feel fated. And a lot of times fated things can feel quite wonderful. It's not always the uh-oh kind of energy, of Saturn that can feel quite heavy. Saturn can feel very heavy. But Saturn rules timing. It's considered the timekeeper, Chronos, and the gatekeeper. Many of us have experiences with authority figures, and those often, if they're difficult, they happen during a Saturn transit. We have to meet somebody else's expectations. Somebody is making us jump through hoops. We feel like, okay, they have the power and they're telling me what to do, and I have to do what they say. And that's one of the reasons that Saturn transits can be so challenging. Saturn can bring delays and restrictions. But when Saturn is retrograde, it often operates more internally. That means we are going back over something, we're reassessing, we're reflecting. And with Saturn being in Pisces, because Pisces is the 12th sign in the zodiac, it's the 12th house, which represents endings, completions, something washing away. It can be a fruition, it can be a manifestation, but a lot of times it brings us face to face with our subconscious mind, needing to rewire our subconscious mind, or it brings it, now it's raining really hard. It's like, okay, the words close encounter are coming to me now. It brings us into a close encounter with the creator, God, spirit. See, there is such a cleansing. Oh my gosh, if you guys could see the rain right now, and you probably won't hear it because I do edit out any other noise that's happening if needed during the videos. But what I want to say is that Saturn in Pisces is helping us cleanse, like this rain, this gore. I wish I could show it to you. It's helping us to cleanse and release from our psychic field, but not just that, any area of our existence. In other words, all levels of wellness, physical, emotional, mental. It's helping us to cleanse and release anything that could have been toxic to us, because maybe you're aware of this, maybe you're not, but Pisces energy rules the toes and the feet. So if you've had anything come up with toes and feet, or anything in your body that is, if you've had issues with your legs or your hips or anything like that, that's all connected to the toes and the feet, right? I mean, everything is connected in our bodies. But not only that, our lymphatic system, and that is connected to our immunity, how immune we are to, illnesses and disease, and also detoxifying, releasing toxins from the body. Pisces is also connected to the limitless ocean, the vastness of the sea, the idea that we are all drops in the same ocean, oneness, compassion, self-compassion, compassion for others, forgiveness for ourselves, forgiveness to others, and also radical self-acceptance. So you can see this is a deep transit for a lot of us. If you have strong Pisces or Virgo in your chart, it's a very deep dive for a lot of us, or you may have been on a deep dive. And if you haven't, and things are out of balance in your life, or you don't understand why things are not going better for you, or you've had some real emotional upset, this transit could be calling you back to deepen your connection to your spirit. Saturn in Pisces says we have to trust the flow of life. We have to turn on our intuitive powers that much more. Saturn can be work. Pisces energy is our divine connection. Do the work of deepening your connection with your divine source. For some of you, that's angels. We all have a different way of connecting to the divine, whatever it is for you. God, spirit, the creator, meditation, yoga, prayer. And some of us create through art, through dancing, through movement. Pisces is a highly creative, very artistic energy. Some of the most beautiful works of art, regardless of the modality, those people have strong Pisces energy in their chart. How do they tap into the divine realms, and that feeds their inspiration and their creativity. They know how, these amazing artists with strong Pisces, they know how to tap into the divine realms and receive that inspiration. So wherever you have Pisces in your chart, and you don't have to have planets or points here, you have a stronger propensity to develop your psychic intuition. One of my favorite quotes that to me epitomizes Pisces energy is from the famous poem Wild Geese by Mary Oliver, and that is, "You do not have to be good. You do not have to walk through the desert for 100 miles on your knees, repenting. You only have to let the soft animal of your body love what it loves." So doesn't that just take you back to like curling up and hugging yourself and feeling safe and feeling secure? That's what this transit is ultimately helping us to do. But how do we get there? By realizing, by understanding that there is something for most of us, maybe not all of us. I'm going to tell you in a minute who's going to be feeling this most intensely, and collectively, we're all going to feel it. For many of us, because this is the collective, the old era washing away, for many of us, there is an ending that has been going on perhaps since 2023. March of 2023 is when Saturn entered Pisces, for those of you who have early degrees of Pisces, Virgo, or other immutable sign energy. But this retrograde is going to bring up issues or take us back so that we can integrate what we learned during that time. Things that came up between November of 2024 and May of 2025. And most specifically, the degrees that this transit is going back over. Saturn transited those degrees in Pisces from March through May of 2025. Now, there's a light energy and a dark energy to all signs, right? To all energies. And when I say light and dark, I mean according to our human selves. The dark, we'll start with the dark. The dark of Pisces can be where we feel disappointed, we feel disillusioned, we feel maybe that the rug has gotten pulled out from underneath us. Saturn will dissolve. Remember, Saturn in Pisces, Pisces is co-ruled by Neptune, and Neptune dissolves. So because Saturn in Pisces is co-ruled by Neptune, a Saturn and Pisces transit too, it can wash away, take away, dissolve something, make something just irrelevant in your life that you wanted in your life, that you wanted to keep in your life, that was something you were strongly connected to. And even if you didn't love it, maybe it's a way that you make your living. Maybe it's, something that you feel dependent upon on a human level. Could be a relationship. Maybe the other person is saying this is over. Maybe deep down it's over, but it's just very hard to let go because some part of you is being fed by it. But we have to remember that Pisces rules karma and it rules karmic relationships. And when a relationship is complete, when a karmic soul lesson or a karmic soul contract with another person or a job or a situation is complete, that's when the soul moves on. And when the soul moves on, that's it. Sometimes it takes us a while for our human selves to catch up to the soul. Once the soul has moved on, I'll tell you the symptoms that may show you whether your soul has moved on from something. I don't care anymore. I just don't care anymore. This just isn't, I just can't put time or energy into this anymore. Or I'm exhausted. Why am I so exhausted? Why don't I have my passion? I used to be passionate about this or that or this person or whatever. Why don't I have that anymore? Or you realize that the way you've been doing something, maybe you've been sacrificing a lot of time and energy, is starting to feel like a sacrifice before you wanted to. Now it's like, you're done. You're just done. You realize you can't do that anymore. Your life is out of balance. You need more time for other things. Or you find out that what you've been putting so much time and energy and sacrifice into, it now feels like a ball and chain, so to speak. Whatever it is no longer sustainable. I can't keep doing this, or at least this in this way, because it's no longer sustainable for my own happiness and well-being. So who will most feel this transit of Saturn retrograding back into Pisces? Saturn will retrograde back to 29 degrees to start. It will go all the way back to 25 degrees. So those of you who have planets or points between 24 and 29 degrees of Pisces or Virgo or the other mutable signs of Gemini or Sagittarius, you are going to feel this transit most intensely, most personally. Also, those of you who have planets or points between 0 and 1 degrees of the cardinal signs, Aries, Libra, Cancer, or Capricorn, you may also feel this. It will be making an out of sign aspect to a planet or point in your cardinal energy at 0 to 1 degrees, an out of sign aspect, but we can still feel it, especially when we're highly sensitive. If you have strong Virgo or Pisces placements in your chart, you will likely really feel this. Why do I say this? Because in addition to the Saturn retrograde, we also have eclipse season happening in September. On the 7th of September, we're going to have our first eclipse, which is a lunar eclipse in Pisces, and that's a release and letting go. It's conjunct the North Node in Pisces, and this is our divine marching orders to let it go, whatever it is. We're going to feel it. We're going to know if there is a big change or crossroads or decision that is in front of us. Or some of us, sometimes the eclipses just do, if we're too kind of dug into our life the way it is, we're too afraid of change, but we need change, then the eclipse itself will do that work for us. It will create that change for us. And that can be harsh and difficult, I know, but ultimately we look back on that time and say, thank goodness that happened. And I also have to say that Saturn and Pisces can bring about a grief process. You've probably already felt that, because if you're going to have that grief process or you're in it, of course, grief moves in waves and it has a timeline of its own. But if you are going to be in a grief process during this transit, you have probably already felt that, because remember, retrograde is going back over the degrees where Saturn has already been. And so what comes up during this transit will not be new to you. It will be something you've already been contemplating or going through, or maybe it's finishing out a grief process for some of you. On September 21st, we'll have the second eclipse, and that will be in Virgo, and that's a solar eclipse. That's new beginnings. That's a brand new chapter. That's what is the next phase? What do you want next in this area of your life? But it's going to exactly oppose Saturn retrograde in Pisces. Exactly. So what is that saying? It's saying we have to let go. Once again, you get the words let go, release. I release and I let go. We have to do that in order to march forward into this new dream and embrace what is waiting for us. And it brings up that beautiful quote from Joseph Campbell, which is, we have to be willing to let go of the life we planned. Let go of the life we planned in order to embrace the life that is waiting for us. And this means that some of us are going to be releasing the shadow of Pisces, which can be a fear of commitment to ourselves, first and foremost, or to another, not valuing ourselves highly enough, too much self-sacrifice, poor boundaries, codependence, being the rescuer, being the fixer, or being disappointed, or just us not paying attention to those red flags, or avoiding conflict, not standing up for ourselves. It can be the fear of letting go of something, a relationship situation, a home, something that you need to let go of, but we're afraid of the void. We're afraid it won't get filled back in with something better. And the antidote always is to reconnect with your spirit, to reconnect with your soul. Your soul, my friend, your soul always knows your truth. This transit is ushering us toward our future. It is pulling us forward into a new chapter, a new era. But in order to move forward, we have to be willing to be fiercely honest with ourselves about what will bring us fulfillment, about what we need to make our hearts sing, to follow our bliss, to follow our divine plan. And so a few questions you might want to ask yourself or journal about to help you move through this transit are, what would self-love do here? What would I say yes to if I didn't have a past? If I didn't have a past failure in this area of my life, if I trusted that my soul was pulling me forward and that I couldn't possibly fail, what would I say yes to? And what would you give yourself permission to do, be, or have if you only had 10 years left to live? If you only had 10 years left on the planet, what have you been putting off? What is it time to say yes to? Okay, my beautiful friends, we are going to do the 12 sign readings now. I'm going to let you know in which area of your natal chart, your life, you are going to experience Saturn retrograding back into Pisces for the very last time. Listen to your rising sign. This is the area of your life in which you're going to experience this transit, but also listen to your sun and your moon signs for further themes that may apply, as well as intuitive messages and card readings. And we're going to start with Pisces because beautiful Pisces, it is Saturn that is moving back into your sign, and it is happening for you in your first house of identity. Pisces, I believe that many of you have already experienced, since Saturn moved into Pisces in 2023, March of 2023, I believe that many of you have probably already changed something in your life that was significant, that had to do with your identity. And when I say identity, I mean like saying, I am, you fill in the blank. I'm an astrologer. I am a corporate, whatever it is, like something, it's often something to do with your work. Your work could have changed radically in the last couple of years. You could have dropped a title. You could have ended a job. You could have ended some sort of role. You could have, it can be a role in a professional setting, or it can also be a role in your personal life, in a relationship, or, a duty or a commitment that you take on in your personal life. So, or if you volunteer. It's also often a Saturn transit connected to our partnerships, committed relationships, whether they are business or friendships or romantic. So many of you could have had a relationship shift during this time as well. What does, and it's your identity, your appearance, your look, your dress, like you may have changed something in that way too. Some of you could have gained weight. Some of you could have released weight. Some of you could have gone through a health something or changed your health, because when I say change your health, I mean like, changed what you do for your health, your eating, your exercise. Maybe you started a regular exercise program, or you stopped doing one and now you want to start one again. I mean, a retrograde is taking us, this is the last time that Saturn will retrograde over these last 5 degrees. And so this means that we're getting that sort of last chance. Of course, it's not always a real last chance, but it feels often like a last chance because Saturn's not going to be here again. So we're not going to feel the Saturn energy, which is focus here, do this, do the work if you want the rewards. That's Saturn. Often when we have a Saturn transit in our first house, as you've been having, it's easier to release weight, or it's easier to be ambitious and go after a specific role. But it can also be, I'm never doing that kind of job again, or I'm never having a job again. I'm retiring. I'm never, it could be that I'm never doing this again, because Saturn really shows us, it can take us into a very uncomfortable place and really show us what isn't right for us anymore. So you could have had changes in any committed partnerships during this time. Or you could have been maybe deciding, do I even want to be in a partnership in the future if it's romantic, or do I want to be partnered in business? Do I want to take on partners in business? You get the idea. A lot of different ways that this transit can play out, but it's Saturn, which is a long-term sustainable foundation in the house of you. So it's like, it has been trying to strengthen you, meaning to strengthen you, to build a more solid, sustainable foundation underneath you. And Pisces, you could feel like, I've come so far, more than ever, I know who I am. You could have really deepened your connection with the divine too, but you could feel like, I'm just like, my boundaries are stronger than ever. I'm never settling for this again. I'm never going to negotiate this away. I'm done with overgiving or over-sacrificing, if that applies to you. You get the idea. So let us pull a card for you, Pisces, and remember that this is the last washing away of the old you that is no longer needed in your life, meaning a part of you that is, we all have these ego deaths, right? These parts of us that we can release when we don't need them anymore. That's a much deeper subject that I don't have time to go into in this video, but think of it as a part of you that was protecting you as a child or in past lifetimes or both, that maybe was needed to have more control. And now you don't need to have so much control because you've outgrown that self. And now you're ready to step into a new self, a new self, a new role, a new soul essence, Pisces. So let's see what the cards have to say for you. Pisces. Pisces, this card is so you. The deep diver diving into a task. The mermaid, Pisces, this is you. You are the mermaid. So when I look at this card, so diving into a task, I mean, Saturn is the planet is the taskmaster. That's kind of funny, right? Ironic funny. You can't make this stuff up, kind of funny. You could feel very focused right now that you are diving into a task, but that task could be internal. That could be, she's going down to the bottom of the ocean. She's going to find treasures about herself when she's down at the bottom of the ocean. She's taking the plunge. She is not afraid to do what is going to transform her, what is going to bring more light into her life, more love into her life, more purpose into her life. Beautiful Pisces, if you resonate with this card, I love mermaid energy. I totally resonate with mermaid energy. I have a lot of Pisces in my chart, by the way. Chiron, my South Node is in Pisces. And I have a stellium in the 12th house, which is connected to Pisces. So I get you, Pisces. And this card is saying, it's time to feel free. It's time to take yourself on a new adventure. If anything that I shared in this card reading resonates with you, or this astrology reading resonates with you, let me know in the comments below. I would love to hear. Aquarius, Aquarius, beautiful Aquarius. You are going to experience Saturn retrograding back into Pisces for the very last time until 29 years from now. in your second house of material security. Saturn in your second house often puts your nose to the grindstone as far as work, earning money, or you have deepened your self-love. You have deepened your self-worth, perhaps, Aquarius. You have really come face to face with your income and whether it's been right for you or not, whether it's working for you. Maybe some of you picked up a side gig. Maybe some of you found your income shrink in some ways. You could have had to be quite resilient. Saturn matures us. Saturn takes us into new places. And when I'm talking in the past, it's because Saturn's been in Pisces since 2023. This retrograde, we're reflecting and reassessing where we've been, especially since November of 2024, between November and now. We are reassessing anything or reflecting or starting to have to act on. Some of us know what has not been sustainable for us in our life, right? We know. For you, it's second house. It could be self-love. It could be this transit has been wanting you to deepen your connection with the divine, because self-love is often sourced in our divine connection. Or taking you back to do some inner child healing or to work on your relationship with money. You could have done some work on, deserving, knowing that you deserve what your heart most wants. Integrating this transit of Saturn retrograde says it's time to integrate what we've learned. It's time to apply what we've learned, what we know we can no longer continue doing. Habits could be here, any habits or ways of being or dynamics or patterns that are connected to self-love, self-worth, earned income, deserving, and so forth. So Aquarius, and this eclipse season will be on your second and your eighth house axis, and that's also a financial house, the eighth house and the house of power. So you are probably working with power, powerlessness, some of you, a relationship in which you share time, money, and energy. It's going to be a very powerful transformation eclipse season for those of you who will be most affected. And I will, of course, will do separate videos on those so that you know which degrees that will be. So Aquarius, let me pull a card for you now and see what the cards have to say. You are preparing. You are meant to release and let go anything holding you back in these areas of finances, material security, how you value yourself. It's time to really check in with, am I fully valuing myself? Do I fully love myself as I am without needing to help others? And I'm not saying don't help others. I'm just saying a lot of us have our self-worth tied to being helpers, we are healing souls, a lot of us. We are what we call light workers, right? And a lot of us, even unconsciously, subconsciously, we tie our sense of lovability to what we do. And this transit says, no, you are lovable regardless of whether you meet other people's expectations or what you do and so forth. You are lovable because of your pure love spirit, because you are here, beautiful Aquarius. That is enough. Let's see what the cards have to say for you. Aquarius, Saturn retrograde in Pisces. Your card is protecting your future. This is another very Piscean looking card for me. All the blue energy. This is a very watery looking card. It says Dragon's Hoard. You can see there are keys here. One of them has a heart on it. There is a dragonfly, signals transformation, represents transformation. And this purple orb, which to me is Piscean energy. It's the crown chakra. It's receiving divine downloads. So this is saying that you can see this dragon. It looks to me like it's going through a portal. The portal is the eclipse season that we're about to go into in September. And it says that your eye is on protecting the future. Aquarius, your sign is connected with the future. So do you feel like you are thinking about your future and protecting it? For a lot of you, it's protecting your finances. This is the financial house. Hoard often is related, that we use that word when we talk about material things, right? The second house where this transit's happening for you is also material possessions. What you need, what you no longer need. It could mean some of you are meant to clear clutter. Some of you are meant to really take stock of what you need and what you don't need, and maybe downsize or streamline your finances if that will bring you a better quality of life. We are all stepping into a time, I believe, that many of us, tell me if you relate to this, Aquarius, many of us have shifted our priorities, and we want more of the things that money can't buy. We want more time. We want more freedom. We want more time in nature. We want more time just to be our free, unbridled selves in relaxation, or maybe it's helping others, but it's not having to answer constantly to deadlines and pressure and all of that. So that could be part of the message for some of you too, but you're going through this portal as the transformation dragonfly in the middle of that right now, with a goal to protect your future, maybe your future finances, if this resonates for you. Beautiful Aquarius, let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear. Capricorn, hello, beautiful Capricorn. Capricorn, you have had Saturn transiting since March of 2023 through your third house. And the third house represents, I call it the house of moving and shaking. The third house is the house of making things happen on a local level, or in our mindset, in our communication. It is connected to all communication, written and verbal, our learning. It's connected to, so you could have been on a real learning curve during this time, learning astrology, for example, or something that is a communication or kind of mind-based modality. You could have been learning during this time. You could have had changes in your local hood, as we call it, your neighborhood, your local area could have had a lot of change, things go on during that time. Or you could have changed what, like where you work out, if you work out at a gym, or where you do yoga, or all the things that we do in our local environment. You could have even moved from your local environment, or you could have set up shop there. You could have set up a business there. You could have gotten more rooted, more grounded where you are. The third house, Saturn, has been, remember, Saturn rules work, not just professional kind of work, but anything we do that we put time and effort and energy into. So you could have been focused on building a website, changing your work in some way, or coming face to face with the truth, your own, being fiercely honest with yourself about whether your work is in alignment with your soul. Some of you have had probably big changes in how you work, or you could have started to be a freelancer during this time, or you could be starting that. Also, the third house is connected to neighbors, siblings, landlords, aunts, uncles, cousins, extended family. Something could have gone on with relationships with extended family. You could have been the mentor. You could have been the person that Saturn can be the wise elder. You could have been the person that people in your extended family are coming to, or have come to, for advice, for help, for healing. You could have really been there for people emotionally. Saturn, though, sometimes too, it pulls us in. It can feel more lonely during a Saturn transit. You could have felt like, I used to talk to my neighbors, but now I'm not talking to my neighbors so much. Or what happened to everybody? Everybody flew the coop. Sometimes a Saturn transit feels that way as well. But I'm guessing that a lot of you really hunkered down and did a lot of work having to do with a website, teaching, learning. It's also connected to short trips. You could have taken less short trips. You could have said, I'm not going to use so much gas. I'm not going to drive so much, or something, this is also connected to devices and vehicles. So you apply the Saturn energy that I talked about at length in the first part of this video to these different areas of your life and see where it fits. But a Saturn retrograde in Pisces is a time of reflection and reassessment, and mostly applying what we know. We already know this. Most of us already know this. Unless we have been so disconnected from our heart and soul, we know what is no longer working for us, right? We know. And so this last pass of Saturn and Pisces is saying, okay, now if we haven't yet put it into action, if we haven't yet applied it to our life, or how we do our life, or our patterns, our dynamics, everything we do, our mindset, our communication, it could be the way that you speak or the way that you think or the story, the inner narrative you have about yourself or your life. It's saying if we haven't applied that yet, this is the time to apply it. This is the time, because Saturn's going to move back into Aries and in February of next year, and we're done with Saturn and Pisces. We're done then washing away the old. This is the time. Not to put pressure on anybody. Let's see what the cards have to say for you, beautiful Capricorn. Capricorn. Oh, I love this card. This is a really interesting card. So it's 43, number 43, which reduces to a 7, which is inward reflection. The 7 is our analytical mind as well, but also our inner poet, a time it's spent in nature. We need a lot of time in nature. 7 is our divine connection. I'm going to read this to you and then I'm going to show it to you. It says overflow, overwhelm, and plenty. And think about that. Overwhelm is often associated with Pisces energy. So you can be, and you can see there's a lot of water here, but it's green water. It's representative of the heart chakra and healing. Overflow means we have plenty, right? Overflow and plenty. We have plenty. All of our needs are met. There's so much. You could have even felt like you had so many choices. The third house can be quite mentally stimulating. And you could have felt like almost like there's been too much stimulation. There's been too much. I've been confused, Pisces energy. I've been disappointed. I've been disillusioned. It's really been hard for me to make my way through all of this. You know, and this card also kind of reminds me of I think it's the 7 of Cups energy in the tarot, where there's like a sense of like over saturation or like too much, like disappointment, disillusionment. I know I said those words already, but you can see that, at least to me, it looks like there's moss or something growing on this beautiful structure. It's like this beautiful home, or maybe it's water flowing over. But to me, there's a sense of like something shrouding or something over, you know, like too much, a feeling of too much. So you have your own life experience, Capricorn. You're going to feel this in the way that feels most appropriate to you, but look at all the light shining through. Look at all the light coming through. This is a card that says, if you have felt overwhelmed, too much, too confused, I don't know what to do, that would be very natural. This card is also saying, though, that you have all of your needs are met and you have plenty and you will be provided for. So if you have been feeling like, am I going to be able to meet my needs, especially materially or romantically or whatever, or in my local area, or any of those questions, am I going to be able to? This card is saying you will you will have overflow. You will always have plenty. At least from here on outward. That is what this card is saying. So beautiful, Capricorn. If anything that I shared in this card resonates for you and you want to share, I would love to hear in the comments below. Sagittarius, Sagittarius, beautiful Sagittarius. Beautiful Sag. Sag, you are going to experience this retrograde of Saturn back into Pisces for the very last time in your 4th house of home, family, and childhood conditioning. Sag. This 4th house also represents our sense of rootedness, if I didn't say that, and the mother line and ancestral healing. So Saturn squaring your energy in Pisces, going through your 4th house. Saturn has already been through these degrees. So you would have felt, or could be feeling now, a real sense of, I need to find my sense of rootedness, my belonging. Or maybe you've cut ties. Maybe you have set clear boundaries with a family member, with a mother, with somebody else that's important in your life, with a caregiver, for example. Or maybe you are a caregiver and you've had to set boundaries. Saturn definitely is connected to boundaries, to commitments, to roles. Some of you have left a role perhaps, or you have downsized, so to speak, how you do a role. You're putting less time and energy into it. Because wherever Saturn is in our chart, especially in Pisces energy, we really have to look at, am I being true to myself? Am I over sacrificing? So this has been a big theme for you. Now, some of you could have been building something beautiful in your fourth house. You could have been building a home. You could have been building a relationship with a family member. You could have, done some remodeling. You get the idea. Some of you could have felt stifled in that. Saturn can sometimes bring delays, and you could have felt stifled in whatever you've been doing in your fourth house. You could have felt like an authority figure has gotten in the way. Somebody has tried to be heavy-handed with you. Somebody has tried to pull rank, as we say. That could have happened for you as well. But this whole transit of Saturn here has been helping you to build a solid, sustainable foundation in your sense of rootedness. I'm rooted here. I want to be here. This is my sanctuary. We want our home to be our sanctuary, right? And Sag, you could have been quite restless with Saturn here, or you could have just been nose to the grindstone, and it could have also been making aspects to your career point or any planets or points if you have them in your career house. Where you felt like you had to somehow create work-life balance. Maybe you had big responsibilities at home, and yet, you had to balance that with commitments and, what was being asked of you at work too. So that could have been part of your transit. Now what's happening? We are now reassessing or reflecting on the final part of this transit. So if we haven't done that rebalancing, if we haven't taken good care of ourselves, if we haven't prioritized our own needs, this last transit, this last final stretch of Saturn and Pisces is saying, now is the time. Now is the time. And so the question for you, Sag, is what do you want in your home and family life? What do you want? What would make you feel more secure? Is there some ancestral healing or some healing that would be helpful for you, for your heart, for your sense of I am grounded here, wherever it is, I'm grounded in my own heart? Is there something that deep down you're meant to do? Some of you will do some shadow work or inner child healing during this last pass of Saturn retrograde here. So Sag, let me pull a card for you and let's see what the cards have to say. And the thing to be looking forward to, and what is so exciting, is when Saturn goes back into Aries in February, and the Neptune will re-enter Aries after it does its retrograde. Then you are going to get a beautiful trine, your energy to the Aries energy, which we're in right now as I'm filming this video. As I'm filming this video in August 2025, we still have Saturn and Neptune in Aries. And so some of you may have tasted that feeling of the new phase, the new life, the new vision. That's once we do this last washing away and letting go of the old era, then we're firmly, both feet in, stepping into the new era, making that happen. So let me pull a card for you now, Sag, and see what the cards have to say for you. Sagittarius. This is a really cool card. This is about authenticity. Many masks. Some of you have been shedding a mask. Some of you have been shedding a self that isn't authentic, or you're in the process of that. This is a process of freedom for you, freeing yourself. My throat is suddenly getting kind of raspy. Let me take a drink of water. Sag, what do you see in this card? I love hearing in the comments from you guys what you see. But to me, this is a very ethereal card because it's so white. The energy is so, it feels like this person is beaming energy down from their divine source. They're receiving energy. They're full of white energy. They're doing some clearing perhaps. And they're saying, I used to think I had to be this way. I used to think I had to be that way, but not anymore. I'm fully more and more stepping into my authenticity. I don't care anymore. That's the cool thing. What is so cool about Saturn in Pisces is we know when we're done with something because we just don't care anymore. I'm just not doing that. I don't need to please that person anymore. I don't need to stay in this home anymore. I don't need to, you fill in the blank. I'm secure in who I am. I'm at home in my own heart. I don't care. Authenticity is more important to me than anything. So if you want to claim your authentic self, or anything else you want to share, beautiful Sag, in the comments below, I would love to hear. Scorpio. Hello, beautiful Scorpio. Scorpio, you are going to experience Saturn going back into Pisces, which makes a beautiful trine to your energy, ease and flow. It's quite lovely. You're going to experience this in your fifth house of fun, pleasure, true love and romance, creativity, creative projects, free, unbridled expression, your inner muse, your inspiration, and children. Saturn retrograding back into this fifth house could bring up themes of any of these areas. When we have Saturn go through our fifth house, it's really interesting because it's saying, here's this house of pleasure and fun, creativity and children and everything light, right? It's to me, it's the house of delight. But with Saturn, Saturn is not Venus. Saturn's not Jupiter. Saturn is, okay, let's get to work. Saturn's nose to the grindstone sometimes. Saturn is like, do you have a plan for this? Do you have a plan for your creative project? Do you have, how are you going to support that child that you want to have? How are you going to do this life with this person that you are interested in and who lives across the country? How would you do that? Like Saturn is very, that's why we call it the reality check, right? It's like, what are the true facts of the situation? And how can you create a long-term, solid, sustainable foundation with what you most want? That's Saturn. So Saturn's already traveled over these degrees where it's going to come back one more time, one last pass. And it's saying, is there anything that's not working in this area of your life? Maybe you haven't been getting enough fun. Maybe you haven't had enough delight in your life. Maybe your inner child's on strike. Hard to be inspired when our inner child's on strike. Maybe you've had delays. Maybe you've had other things get in the way. Maybe love and romance has felt very heavy for you. But this last pass wants us to release anything that isn't in alignment with us anymore. So some of you might end a dating relationship. Some of you might have to set boundaries with a child. Some of you might be really reassessing your parenting. Or, being like, I really want to write a book, but I haven't been writing. If we want to write a book, we have to write, right? I wrote a book. I know what's involved. It is a huge project. It is a huge commitment. I know that. But if you want to do something creatively, and obviously can be a lot of different things, it's not necessarily writing. Maybe you're a painter, a musician, or, a dancer. So many different ways to express. Saturn says, are you doing the work? Are you doing the work? Okay, so Scorpio. Are you giving yourself enough pleasure? But then are you carving out time for what your heart most wants? Because this is a heart house. This is the house of the heart, the fifth house. Are you being true to your heart? And if not, what needs to change and how can you change it? So there's this card that's like slipping between my fingers, slipping out of the deck as I'm shuffling, and that is your card. So I'm going to see what it is, Scorpio. Ooh, this is a cool card. Teachability. This is such an interesting card. I want to know what you guys see in this card. Leave me a comment and let me know. The hollow bone. This is such a spiritual card. First of all, clearly it's saying it's time to open up to being teachable, coachable, right? Flexible. But also, when you look at this image, which really is like a skeleton of a deer or an elk, right? But there is great wisdom in this animal. And there's the sense of a death that you have probably been through. And your energy, Scorpio, is that energy of the eighth house, death and rebirth. But someone has made this gorgeous work of art out of this gorgeous sculpture with the feathers coming down. It's very spiritual. It's very much like a totem, an altar, a place that you might go to pray. And there's this hollow bone, but if you look at it, it looks like an instrument. It looks like something that you would make music through, to me. And look, it's coming out of the mouth. We could say this is expression that's coming out of the throat chakra, in many different jewels and colors coming out of your expression, perhaps. Beautiful Scorpio. So a lot of different ways, but when I see this card, it takes me to the desert. It takes me to a place of being quiet and meditating and receiving the wisdom from nature. from the divine that we can hear when we're in a very quiet place, and to if you feel like creating something, if you feel like making something, designing something, putting together natural things that you find or that you purchase to make a beautiful work of art, that's the fifth house as well. In doing so, the divine will teach you. The divine has messages for you. The divine wants to teach you through some sort of a reflection or artistic or meditative practice. Beautiful Scorpio, if anything that I shared resonates for you, or you want to tell me what you see in that card or anything about the astrology, I would love to hear. Libra. Hello, beautiful Libra. Libra, you are going to experience this transit of Saturn retrograding back into Pisces in your sixth house of daily work, your health, your routines, your schedules, how you use your energy. That's the sixth house. The sixth house is your lifestyle too. It's like, how do I want to use my energy? How do I want to feel in my body? How do I want to feel at work? Sometimes when we have a sixth house transit, because Saturn is wanting us to set clear boundaries and protect what's important to us and protect our own energy, when Saturn goes through our sixth house, a lot of times that is, Libra, that is where we have to set boundaries in our work with our supervisor if we have one, or if we have maybe we don't have a supervisor, maybe we're self-employed, then it's saying, are you attending to your health? Are you creating balance in your life? Are you just making sure that your energy isn't being, leaked in some way at work or in your health and wellness? It can also be a health issue that some of you have gone through. Saturn can definitely bring us face to face with health issues. Some of you could have had a surgery or surgeries. Some of you are realizing what is toxic in any area of your life. And this last pass, when we have a last pass, it's saying, okay, is there anything we haven't cleaned up yet? Is there anything we haven't done? Did we have that surgery if we needed one? Did we, have that conversation with the boss if we don't feel like we're being treated well? Did we, set boundaries with the coworker if they're taking up our too much time and energy? Or are we doing the routines that we need to do for our health, for how we eat and how we exercise and all of that? Habits. Is there a habit? Some of us with the Saturn sixth house transit, we have to do the work to release a habit. That could be it as well. But right now, as of September 1st, when Saturn goes back into Pisces, we're applying those lessons. We're letting the old era wash away. We're letting an old self wash away. We're releasing an emotional burden. We're forgiving. We're bringing compassion to anyone or anything that we've had a grievance toward, or that anyone that we resent. That maybe it's been over pleasing at work. That could be it too. That is a Libra thing. I know these are all generalizations for the signs, but a lot of times Libras do give until they realize, I feel resentful. Why do I feel resentful? Because I've been giving too much, right? So inner boundaries, not just boundaries with others, but setting boundaries within ourselves so that we can be free. So you can be free, Libra, as you move into your your next thing with Saturn and Neptune moving into Aries next year, back into Aries when they do. They're in Aries now, but they will retrograde back into Pisces. And then when they go into Aries again, that's like, okay, you're soaring then. You're launching. And I'm not saying you're launching something. You could be, stepping into a new adventure. You could be stepping into a new relationship, a new committed partnership. A new partnership with the divine. So many different ways that can play out. I don't want to get ahead of myself. We'll stick with Saturn retrograde in Pisces right now. You get the idea. Let me pull a card for you now. Libra. Beautiful Libra. What do the cards have to say for you? Libra. One of my favorite cards in the deck, limitless possibility, stars in the sky. What do you see in this card, Libra? What do you see in this image? I see a person who's on a bridge between where they are now and where they want to be, and they are sitting in meditation. They are sitting in the light. They are receiving the light of the divine. They are bringing down the unconditional love and light of their higher source. And if you haven't yet downloaded my meditation that connects you with your divine source, with this unconditional loving light, you can do so by going to my website, signing up for my weekly inspirational astrology updates, and you'll get that free instant download when you do that. Back to this card, Libra. It says, stars in the sky, limitless possibility. What a cool card. Are you questioning what your next step is, what your next thing is, where you want to move next? It's a big change for a lot of us. And with Saturn now in your sign in Aries, and it will move back into your sign, Libra, after it does this retrograde into Pisces, that's a big deal because it's opposite your energy. And that transit of Saturn and Neptune and Aries, that's in your 7th house of partnerships. That's the people you interact with and a romantic partner if you have one, but also a vision for a romantic partner. And for some of you, that will be, I don't want to get too much into that, but you get the idea. Like, it is a big deal when you have Saturn opposite your energy and Neptune opposite your energy too. That's a huge transformational time. So, but it is all for your own spiritual ascending. This is a card of ascension. I even see lines going up from the side of this person's aura. They're receiving power through the palms of their hands. Libra, many of you are artists. Have you ever done a meditation like that, or just a reflection contemplation where you open your hands and you imagine that you're receiving light from the divine into your hands, your creative hands? Libra, do that. I encourage you to do that. See what it feels like. Imagine that the light is moving into your hands. If anything I share with you resonate, if you want to claim your limitless possibility, so many choices, so little time, just kidding. But if you want to claim your limitless possibility, or your ascension, anything you want to claim, let me know, beautiful Libra, in the comments below. Virgo, hello, beautiful Virgo. Virgo, you are going to experience the Saturn retrograde in Pisces transit in your 7th house. Now, Saturn has been in Pisces it was there between March of 2023 up until the time that Saturn moved into Aries this spring. But it's going back into Pisces. So back into your 7th house of committed partnerships, whether they are business or romantic or friendships. Anyone whose back you have and who has your back, that is the 7th house. And sometimes the 7th house can be people like bosses. Anyone that we spend a lot of time with or who's very present in our life, right? If we're having a really strong transit, it could be a boss because Saturn is connected to our work. It's connected to our commitments, our responsibilities, and Saturn can be a person telling you, especially when it's opposite your energy as it is, telling you, you got to do this, you got to do that, you didn't do that well enough, so and so forth. And that's not easy for Virgos because Virgos work really hard and Virgos pay attention to everything so that they can be so good at what they do. And Virgos are so good at what they do. You are meticulous. You are super reliable. You do have a huge heart, a huge altruistic heart. That's Virgo energy to me, is like you have a contract with your soul, with the divine, to serve. And you come here to serve. But guess what? Saturn in your 7th house says, but are you setting boundaries? Have you been setting boundaries? Have you cut away your tendency to overgive, to over-sacrifice, I'm hearing the words throw yourself under the bus, which I don't usually say. Sometimes that just happens unwittingly, right? It's not like we ever plan to do that. But Virgos can realize that they've been putting other people before themselves. And this transit is saying it's time to change that. This is we're going back over degrees we've already been, so it won't be anything new to you. And maybe it's like, I've always felt like I've given too much to this person, or I have had trouble walking away from this duty or this role, but it's been so hard because I've been, confused. We can be confused, or I've been overwhelmed in Pisces energy. We can be like, but I really care for this person, or I really want to do this, or it's really hard for me to say no, all those things. This is the last pass. We're letting go of the old era so we can step into the new era. And Virgo, a card flipped over when I was shuffling. And that's always when The divine is really saying, this is your card. And I love this card because it's the card of moving out of stagnation. And it's called the Dust Devil, which I think has its own sort of funny. It can be, sometimes we can, it's a good thing to laugh and lighten up what it is. The Dust Devil is basically saying, it's like this whirlwind of, it kind of looks like a tornado, but to me, it's not that strong. It's just like something comes in and kicks things up. Something could come in and kick things up for you. It's probably a pattern or a dynamic that you've had in relationship that is not new to you. Like I said, it's a retrograde. It's not new to you. But maybe setting clear boundaries in the situation is new to you. Or maybe you have to set the boundary again. Or maybe you realize no matter what I say to this person or how much I say no or how much I set a boundary, they're not changing. So I have to extricate myself from the situation. For some of you, that may be leaving a job, that may be leaving a work situation, that may be leaving a romantic partnership or a friendship. But the Dust Devil is going to get your attention if, this isn't everyone, but if you relate to it, the Dust Devil will get your attention and say, time to put you first, Virgo, time to put you first. What's the number? The number is 15, which reduces to a 6, which is balance, harmony, and care for the self-care for others. But in 6 energy, we can really want to take care of everybody around us. It also has the 1 and the 5, and the 1 is new beginnings, and the 5 is change and freedom and transformation, freeing yourself. It's time to free yourself, beautiful Virgo. It is time to free yourself to do, and now I'm getting another quote in my mind. You must do the thing you think you cannot do, Eleanor Roosevelt. Leave me a comment. Let me know what you think or feel from this card or anything that I shared in this reading. I'd love to hear. Leo. Hello, beautiful Leo. You are going to have Saturn retrograding back into Pisces in your 8th house of power and control, emotional attachments. It's a relationship and a money house with Saturn retrograding here. We are often setting clear boundaries with people with whom we share time, money, or resources. This is the 8th house is things like taxes and assets and real estate. Saturn here means you've probably really been focusing on your long-term assets, or you could be like an executor for an estate, or you could have been dividing assets, or you could have been in a lawsuit with somebody or splitting up with somebody, and you've had to figure out how you're going to share or split up what you own. You could have been very focused during this transit. I'm saying could have because we've been in this transit for a while, and then Saturn moved back into Aries, and now it's coming back into Pisces. But just to sort of let you know what you may have been going through and what could come up again, because this isn't going to be anything new. It's the same degrees that Saturn has already been over, but it's going back over them to make sure that we've done our cleanup work, right? That we've set the boundaries, that we've said no to the things that we're supposed to say no to. Watch the first part of this video where I give a much more detailed description of all the Saturn and Pisces energy. But some of you could have felt like finances have shrunk, or somebody who was contributing to your finances, such as a partner. Maybe something happened with their finances, and that changed what you had to work with, so to speak. Oftentimes with Saturn in the 8th house, we are like, okay, I want to pay off my house. I want to, take care of my college loans. I want, I've got a bigger tax bill than I was expecting. And some of that could be in your past for sure. But where you haven't yet, if this is the case, it's not the case for everyone. If you haven't yet clearly cut ties to or set boundaries around or taken steps to really honor your own time and energy, your finances especially, or something to do with a committed partnership, emotional intimacy, sexual intimacy. Some of you could have been going or still are in counseling with a partner. If some of that has been on the back burner, it's been delayed, or you haven't stepped up to the plate where Saturn wants you to, then that could come back around for you to do. Leo. So let's see what the cards have to say for you for this last pass of Saturn and Pisces going through your 8th house, which could have been a really heavy transit. It's a house of transformation, death, and rebirth. That's not easy, Leo. That's not easy to have Saturn there. And Saturn did move on into Aries. That's your 9th house. That's, and that's a trine to your energy. So much better for you. But if you have any planets or points at these high degrees of the mutable signs, including Pisces and Virgo or the other mutable signs, then you may feel this last pass. And it's all for you. It's all for you to take care of you, the soft animal of your body, as I quote in the first part of this video. Okay, Mary Oliver. Leo, let's see for you. Your card is, needing direction. Do you need direction? I love this card. Okay, the words are lost in space. But what is this card really about? Look at her. Leo, this card actually really reminds me of you when I see her. Like, she is all dressed up, right? She reminds me of a flapper. I think she's an angel because I see the angel wings, but I think she reminds me of a flapper. She reminds me of like, I got all dressed up, or I'm performing, I'm singing, I'm in the cabaret, whatever it is. And there's a light right on her third eye, right on her crown. Look at that light beaming right into her third eye. Maybe there's going to be a third eye activation for you if you haven't had one yet. Pisces is connected to our divine source, to enlightenment. Big bright light, could be a divine download, could be a breakthrough, could be a big moment of ascension, of leveling up, as we say. But look, she's connected to Earth. She's got Mother Earth cheek to cheek. She's cheek to cheek with Mother Earth. And some of you could be saying, where do I want to live? Where on Mother Earth do I want to live? Others of you could be saying, I feel like I am between worlds. I am lost in space. I don't know what I want. I don't know what's right for me. Pisces energy can be confusing, can be disillusioning. We can be disappointed. So what is it for you, beautiful Leo? Lost in space is an invitation to connect with space, to connect with the stars, to connect with the vast unknown territory. And realize the truth of who you are, to come back to the truth of your spirit, to come back to the awe that we can feel when we are looking at space, when we're looking at the stars, the awe, the realization. We can put so much pressure on ourselves, right? We can put so much pressure on ourselves to whatever it is we want to accomplish as earthlings. And then when we spend some time just looking at the stars, we can realize, why do I do this to myself? I'm just this speck of beingness in this vastness. I can take time to take in the real truth of who I am. The real truth of who you are. If you're feeling lost, this transit is saying it's time to really connect with the divine. There's a part of you, a new soul essence, that is coming online more fully when Saturn and Neptune move back into Aries in your 9th house of expansion, where we often really go into a place of spiritual seeking. And you're there now, so maybe that's why Lost in Space is coming up. Maybe you are in this place of one foot in both worlds, the ethereal and the earthly. But whatever it is for you, if you're needing direction, the direction is on its way to you through your divine connection. Beautiful Leo, let me know if what I share resonates with you, and if you want to claim in the comments that you have the direction that you need. Let us know. I'd love to hear. Cancer. Hello, beautiful Cancer. Cancer, I have my moon and my rising in Cancer, and you are going to experience this transit of Saturn retrograding back into Pisces in your 9th house of expansion. The 9th house is where we learn and grow, we teach, we give talks, some of us. Not everyone does this stuff, I know, but it is where you could be taking a course or could have taken a course. It's where we want to expand, where we want new scenery. This is why it's also the house of long distance travel, where we say, I'm ready for an adventure. I'm ready for freedom. Are you feeling that, Cancer? When Saturn moves back into Pisces, especially, you could feel, once again, if you felt it, but then maybe it went on the back burner, as Saturn moved into your 10th house of career in Aries, you could have been very career focused. And I'm not saying you're not, they're very close together still. And they will be, even with Saturn and Pisces, it will still be very close to that Aries energy. But it's saying this is a time to go back to that part of you that wants to expand, the spiritual seeker part, the part of you that maybe wants to take a quest. Maybe you're ready to take a risk. Maybe you are ready to do some foreign travel. Some of you may be thinking as soon as Saturn moves back into Pisces, or fairly soon, you might be saying, I want to take a trip. I'm planning a trip. Some of you could plan to move to another country. That could happen. But with Saturn in the 9th house too, if we move to another country, usually there are hoops we have to jump through. There's a visa we have to get. We have to pay attention to that stuff with Saturn there, because if, for example, like I moved to Mexico, I can't remember if Saturn was already, I don't think it was quite into Pisces yet when I moved to Mexico, but once I was there, it was there, and I did have to jump through so many hoops and do so much work for my residency requirements. And it all worked out fine, but it was a lot of work. It really was a lot of work, and that was fine. That's Saturn, it's work. But it's just something to keep in mind. Usually when Saturn is in, the 9th house of long distance travel, it will show us if it's not growthful travel. It has to be something that is favorable to our growth. It can't just be, I just want to relax. And I'm not saying that. I'm not saying you can't go take a fun vacation in a foreign place, but often Saturn will show up and show you something that you have to do or that you missed, or, Saturn isn't the vacation sign. Vacation planet, house sign planet. Saturn isn't that, or something could happen when you're on your trip that you have to sort of rise to the level of a commitment, a duty, or a responsibility. There's that too. A lot of times people with Saturn transiting the 9th house, they love to learn. They love to start things like publish something or do a podcast or start some sort of broadcast. But it is the house of spiritual questing. So if you stay attuned to your own spirit, then spirit will, allow you that. Remember, Saturn wants us to be wise, to grow in maturity and resiliency too. So Saturn's moving back over the degrees that it was before. I share a lot about that in the first part of this video. It's moving back over those degrees. So it won't be new to you, most likely, Cancer, if something comes up for you. But it does trine your energy, and the trine is the best aspect we can have. It's flowing, it's the wind at your back, it's ease. It feels quite lovely. So, beautiful Cancer. Let's see what the cards have to say for you. For this very last transit of Saturn and Pisces, not to happen again for another 29 years. Cancer. I love this card. The universe is your partner in the hand. Check it out. Check it out. Whether you call this the hand of the universe, the hand of the divine, the hand of your creator, whatever it is, this is saying partner with your divine source, because something is coming into your hand. Something wants to come into your hand. All you have to do is open up to it. And know, Cancer, know that you are deserving. Know that you are the co-creator, but co-creator means that word co, right? We're not doing it all by ourselves. Have you been trying to do it by yourself? This is saying, and this is gold coming into this person's hand, right? It looks like a big diamond, big crystal of gold dropping into your hand. That would be a beautiful visualization to do. To receive. Some of you may be working on receiving. Beautiful Cancer. If you want to claim that you have a divine connection with the universe is your partner. And that is what my book is about. It's about partnering with your soul, partnering with the universe. The link to that is in the description box below if you want to check it out. But if you want to claim that you are receiving, to me, this is receiving wealth, receiving love, receiving whatever your heart most desires. It's already in your hand. If you want to claim it's in your hand, beautiful Cancer, let us know in the comments below. Gemini. Hello, beautiful Gemini. Gemini, I have my natal sun in Gemini, and You are going to experience this transit of Saturn retrograding back into Pisces in your 10th house of career, life purpose expressed, legacy, retirement or semi-retirement, the house of where we want to experience fulfillment. As Mary Oliver says, how you want to spend your one wild and precious life. Gemini, Saturn retrograding back into Pisces in your 10th house is saying, is there anything that you have been doing in your life that is connected to these themes that is no longer sustainable for you? A career that you just don't want to do anymore, a way of being in your career, in your work, a pattern, a habit of doing too much for this or that person, or using your energies in ways that drain you. That's this transit. Most of us know what that is by now, and it could very well just be, for me, for example, I spend way too much time editing my videos. This video is my first video where I am really doing my best to just go with the flow of things so I don't have so much to edit, because that is no longer sustainable for me. We all have something. Most likely, Saturn has been squaring our Gemini energy, squares our discomfort, squares are like, oh, not again. I can't keep doing this way. And I love my work. I am so, if you can't tell, I'm very passionate. I'm sure you can tell about what I do. But, you know, whatever we do, we take ourselves to whatever we do, right? And Gemini, we can overgive in Pisces energy. You know, we're not connected to this earth in Pisces energy. We're connected to the divine, to all possibility, to oneness. We're very altruistic often in Pisces energy. And then we realize, but I am human and I only have so many hours and I do have a body, so I can't keep doing this the same way. And for those of you, and some of you could be saying, I'm ready to retire, I'm ready to semi-retire, for sure. Others of you, I am so done with what I've been doing for work. I'm ready to, you fill in the blank. What are you ready for? What are you so done with, Gemini? That is this transit. One more pass of it, and then we're moving on to Saturn in Aries. That's a whole new life chapter. It's a whole new phase for a lot of us. So, beautiful gems, let us see what the cards have to say for you. And leave me a comment. Let me know if you're done with something or you're so ready for something. I'd love to hear. Your card is, yes, new beginnings, Moon Maiden. So beautiful. Some of you are healing your heart. Some of you are healing a inner narrative, a story about your life, a story about yourself, or a way in which you have given too much, perhaps, in coming from a place of altruism, coming from a place of wanting to serve, wanting to, Geminis have one foot in both worlds, the ethereal world and this world. And a lot of times we like what the ethereal world feels like. It feels good. It's the magic. It's the synchronicities. It's the downloads, right, Gems? We like that world. But again, it's a dual sign. So we have to bring that energy and ground it into this earthly world. And that's sometimes not so much fun. So this card is very ethereal. Here's the big full moon. We're about to have that lunar eclipse in Pisces. That's going to happen in your 10th house. And then there's all the light from it. And here she is swimming in the green, which to me is the heart chakra. Some of you could have had a heart healing. You could have realized that you are worthy just as you are. You are worthy regardless of what you give to others, regardless of whether you help others or not. You're still worthy. You could decide to take, a year-long sabbatical and not help anyone, and you would still be worthy. That's not easy for gems a lot of times, because it's wired into us, all the mutable signs, really, well, so many of the signs. But for many of us, it is wired into us that we are here to help. And sometimes we equate love with being a helper. And it can be very subtle, very, very subconscious. So you could be freeing or have freed yourself from that as well, or some limiting belief. But beautiful Gemini, the Moon Maiden is coming to you saying, she's so lyrical, saying, let's heal our heart. Let's know that we are beautiful and lovable just as we are, and we are stepping into a brand new beginning. The world is your oyster, beautiful Gemini. Whatever you want to claim, if you want to claim something, or just leave a comment in the comments below, I'd love to hear. Taurus, hello, beautiful Taurus. Taurus, you are going to experience this transit of Saturn retrograde in Pisces in your 11th house. Now, Taurus, first thing before I talk about the themes for this house, I want to tell you you're getting a sextile from this energy, and sextiles are wonderful, supportive, harmonious transits. With the sextile, you have to take some initiative. You have to see where there's a need, where there's a desire to improve something in your life or to create something in your life. You take that initiative, and the sextile helps bring it into being. It's like a helper. It's support is what it is. Now, you're having this transit of Saturn retrograde in your 11th house of support. So this is really cool because it's the house of allies, groups and communities, friendships, people who want to, share who you are, who want to support you, people that you network with. It's basically the house of fulfillment. This is also a house in which we start to dream a new dream. We start to check in with ourselves and say, is this what I still want to be doing? Is this still my dream? It's the house of promoting and branding. If you're starting something new, if you're using social media to put a message out or to promote your work, that's this house as well. So the 11th house is a way for us often to attract people into our life. It's the house of online dating, any online platform at all. So Taurus, what are you wanting to do? You could be expanding a platform that you already have. You could have done some online dating and you left it and now you want to come back to it. You could meet somebody. A retrograde transit here, we can meet people. Saturn is very karmic energy. We can meet people through a Saturn transit. A lot of times we have strong Saturn in our chart and they have strong Saturn, and that's what brings us together. Those can be really long-lasting bonds, but they're also growth opportunities for sure. Not that all relationships aren't growth opportunities. But Saturn coming back here, for some of you, if you haven't started the business yet, or if you haven't, joined the community or group, you haven't done something that is part of your Saturn solid, sustainable foundation building in this house for you, then you have one more opportunity to do it with Saturn coming back into Pisces. Or you could be reflecting and reassessing. Is this what I really want? Is there something that I have to let go of? Is it time for me to stop doing that, participating in that group? Is it time for me to change the way that I promote or brand my work? Saturn really does have us look at what's working and what's not working. Is the dream that I am focused on, does it still light me up? Do I still have passion for it? Do I want to move someplace else or travel someplace else? It's also the house of long-term financial gains. So you could be asking, are my finances in order? Do I like where my money is invested if you have investments? Some people invest in real estate, crypto, I know all different things, but you get the idea. Saturn is the taskmaster. Focus on these things. That's what Saturn's saying. Release what is no longer serving you, what's no longer in alignment with you. So Taurus, let me pull a card for you now. Let's see what the cards have to say for you, beautiful Taurus. Ah, yes, a covenant, a sacred contract. Yep. Okay, so I'm saying this so commonly. Yep. I like laughing at myself, Taurus, because a sacred contract is the contract, a contract with the divine, a covenant, right? That has a divine connotation. But also because this is Saturn, and that's karmic relationships, karmic soul contracts. And it is the house of friendships and support. Some of you could be renegotiating boundaries in a relationship, or you could be writing a new contract, or you could be creating a sacred contract with another person, one that feels very soul to soul, or with somebody in your life that is an authority figure or a mentor, or with the divine itself. A sacred contract with you. But this card is really pulling you into reflection. It's a 7. 7s are reflection, they are nature, and that's Pisces energy, especially on a retrograde. What's most important to you now, Taurus? What are you ready to sign along the dotted line? Some of you might want to journal or do automatic writing. What are you ready to commit to within yourself or to another? That is what this card is supporting you to do. And I love the sacred contract, Taurus. I love that. It's a very special thing to create or solidify a bond with the divine or with another person. So if anything I shared resonates and you want to share in the comments, I would love to hear. Aries, hello, beautiful Aries. Aries, you are going to experience this last pass of Saturn retrograde in Pisces in your 12th house of the mystic. Rest and retreat, your subconscious mind, and also anything to do with your spiritual source. So Saturn going through our 12th house can be solidifying your commitment to your own divine blossoming, to your divine connection, your source. This 12th house is connected to our dream state. It's connected to things like astral travel. It's connected to meditation, where we're connecting with the divine realms. I feel that a lot of you, since Saturn's been in Pisces since March of 2023, you've probably deepened your connection with the divine. Or something has happened in your life that pulled you into that because you had no choice. You know, maybe for some of you, there was a health issue or there was something that was very challenging that happened in your life that made you had no choice but to really dig deep into your spiritual path, into your divine connection, communing with angels, communing with guides, doing automatic writing, ancestral healing for some of you, or perhaps doing mediumship work. Some of you could have built a spiritually based business, or you are in the process of doing that, or you're coming back to that. Saturn is work. Saturn is effort. Saturn can be a profession, but it can also be just where we're putting effort and time. And some of you could have been going through therapy, because the 12th house is also, rest, retreat, renewal. It's tied to our health on all levels, just like the 6th house. 6th house tends to be more physical health, and the 12th house tends to be more spiritual, emotional. The lines are blurred because they're a continuum. But a lot of times we heal emotionally or mentally or spiritually during a 12th house transit. So one last pass of this, releasing something that is no longer sustainable for you. Aries, releasing something. Maybe some of you are letting go of an old belief. Something you are releasing that just isn't in alignment with you anymore. And you could have done some real deep work with your dreams, for example. Let me know in the comments. I would love to hear what the Saturn in Pisces transit has been like for you. Watch the first part of this video if you want a deeper dive into what Saturn in Pisces means. But because it's your 12th house and it's a Saturn transit, it's getting you ready for Saturn moving into your first house, which is the house of I'm coming out, I'm me, I'm transformed. The transformation you happen on the inner level, and it's happening on the inner level for you, Aries. When Saturn moves into your first house, that's like, okay, what do I want to build? What role do I want to take on? What, relationships am I going to say yes to? Right now, it's a very internal process and has been for you. It won't be new what this retrograde is bringing, I'm sure. It won't be new because Saturn's already been here. But if there's any habit that you want to change, if there's any way of thinking, if you want to do some more rewiring of your subconscious mind, you are very supported to do that during this retrograde, Saturn retrograde in Pisces. Okay, so let's pull a card for you. Or start a business, anything that takes you into like psychic channeling, intuitive. Of course, we use our intuition in any line of work, but this is specifically that deep spiritual work. Okay, Aries. Aries. Opportunity, the caterpillar. So this is saying the caterpillar, of course, is where we're in that in-between state. We're in the goo, as I say, we're in the The caterpillar, we're ready to become a butterfly, but we're not yet. Just what I was saying about Saturn moving from your 12th to your first house. It has already dipped into your first house with Saturn in Aries, but now it's moving back. So it's moving back because it's saying, is there anything left still in that caterpillar state that hasn't fully bloomed and blossomed and transformed into the butterfly yet? Is there anything that you're holding on to that isn't healthy for you anymore on any level? It's often a responsibility, a commitment, a duty, a feeling of duty to someone, a feeling of I'm still holding on to this that you're meant to let go of because it's just not in alignment with you anymore. But I love the caterpillar because, well, I personally love the pink because I love pink. But also, look, she is surrounded by these purple, it looks like lilacs to me, purple flowers. Purple is Pisces energy to me, very crown chakra, divine connection. And you can see that she has these cat eyes all over her body. She has cat eyes. And look at her big cat eyes. And cats, they're very connected. They walk between worlds, cats. And the 12th house is a walk between worlds. It's being in between worlds when we're in the 12th house energy strongly. And you have the sight, the psychic sight to see and discern, Saturn discernment, boundaries, the psychic sight to see and know what is best for you and for your heart and for your further blossoming and blooming and transforming into the butterfly, beautiful Aries. My beautiful friend, thank you so much for joining me for this video on this very important transit of Saturn retrograding back into Pisces. Thank you for giving this video a like, for giving it a thumbs up, for sharing it with people in your life who love astrology. Thank you for your comments. I absolutely love your comments. They really support the channel. And when you like, share, comment, and subscribe, when you subscribe, you really help support the channel to grow and allow me to continue doing this work. If you would like to do an astrology consultation with me, it would be my absolute joy to meet you on Zoom. Go to my website and check out the testimonials that other clients have shared after working with me. We can do a heart's desire, a life purpose, a natal chart reading, a relationship harmony, or a 90-minute astrology consultation if you would like extra time to focus on something that is really up for you right now. I also offer clarity coaching sessions if you would like coaching support. The links to both my astrology and coaching offerings are in the description box below, so check them out. And as promised, I have a free gift for you, and that is a soothing guided meditation that is meant to connect you with your divine guidance, with your spiritual source, to receive the unconditional love and a special gift from the divine. To get that, go to my website, sign up to get my weekly inspirational astrology updates, which is the astrology between videos. Sign up to get those updates for free, and you will get my free instant download guided meditation at the same time. So my beautiful friend, let us know in the comments below your feelings about Saturn moving back into Pisces. I love hearing your take on this transit as well. It's the very last time until 29 years from now. And it is beautifully helping us to move through change into the next greatest version of who we came here to be. So until my next video, I am sending you all my love.